After seeing today's unemployment numbers across the Piedmont, it is easy to think the worst. Will I be next? Will I ever find a job? But there is help out there, and maybe from a place you wouldn't even expect. Vicky Larkin is joining us today, and she is a life coach, and she's based in Greensboro. Ms. Larkin, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
For those of us who don't know what a life coach is, what is it?
Well, the first thing I'd suggest is life coaches help you plan a direction to go to, not to run from something. And one of the ways you can do that is when I'm working with my clients, what I give them is some assessments so that they can look at their personality. Sometimes it's their personality that's fouling up that interview, how they communicate. And then other assessments are about their career interests, what was comfortable for them, their natural talents.
Okay, so you're trying to bring out the best in people, in other words.
That's a good point. In fact, one of the most important things I do is listen to their hearts. When was it fun to do something? What did you enjoy doing? Let's focus there. Life's too short to be trapped into something you don't care for.
Absolutely. It should be fun, right?
I think so.
You've been doing this now for about 25 years, and you have helped Fortune 500 companies. You've dealt with hourly workers as well as executives, but you still have some commonalities in what you tell all these workers.
That's true. The first thing is to believe in themselves. What I find is people can smell fear, and what happens is if you go in the interview that way, then people see that you are reluctant rather than enthusiastic. So it is true I've dealt with all levels. Some of the background experience that I've had, because I too have worked inside Fortune 500 companies in operations and staff positions in both union and non-union, means my advice has a big slice of reality attached to it.
That's nice. Sometimes you need to see that realism right there. What is it? Why come to see a life coach like yourself as opposed to going to the employment office?
The employment office and other sources are good at the basic design, but it's going to look like everyone else's. And today the word is custom and tailor. So what you want to do is very often have not one but several resumes tailored to administrative focus or maybe operations focus. And that won't happen if you go just to one location. A life coach can help draw skills out of you you might not realize you had.
You have to diversify. About the resumes, what should you focus on as opposed to just the businesses you worked at? You want to actually talk about your skills and accomplishments.
Yes. In fact, be very careful about saying my responsibilities instead of my achievements. You need to use action verbs for a couple of reasons. One, it says I've done something, and two, there are resume scanning programs that are looking for action verbs rather than prepositional phrases.
You have to stand out, don't you?
Yes.
I was reading here, resume recruiters spend just about 7 to 20 seconds looking at a resume. So it's like this, done. So how do you stand out?
First off, it's an art as well as a science. You need enough balance on the page so that it's appealing. One thing I would caution, some of the standard formats, you pull out a software program, are going to show you burger dots running all the way down, and your eye will have a tendency to fly down those dots and not read what's beside of them. So make sure that there's a balance on the page, enough white space that it's pleasant, but also dense enough so that it appears you have significant weight in your experience.
A bad thing on resumes, typos. And I know that you can hit spell check, but it always doesn't catch everything. So you recommend reading it backwards. How does that help?
Doesn't that seem strange? Because your mind fills in the blanks, and if you've read your resume 100 times, you'll think it's correct. But by reading backwards, word for word, you'll find the spelling, the punctuation, and the typo errors.
What do you tell people who come to you unemployed, they're desperate? What do you say?
One of the things that I say to them is, what you're doing will be different, but what you've done brought you here. In other words, just because you have skill sets does not mean they're discounted. It means you have to reframe them. Like an aeronautical engineer that I met once. Told him to think differently about what he'd done.
Look at the skills. Like maybe you may not be able to stay in your particular profession, but you can find something comparable?
Exactly. He was worried about finding a job in aerospace in North Carolina. That might be a problem. But on the other hand, he was a maintenance person who had quality. He had inventory management. He had min-max experience. He had overseas interaction with global suppliers. When he started thinking that way, he felt pretty comfortable that he could find a job in a different industry.
Ms. Larkin, thank you so much. You got to market yourself, right?
Absolutely.
Vicky Larkin, her business is called Future Path Enterprises, and we put a link to her website on ours, myfox8.com.
Many white-collar moms who opted out